Hey there, and welcome to the 251st edition of the Business of Story, brought to you by Sendable, the social media community platform used by more than 3,000 digital agencies worldwide. Now you can try Sendable for free when you register at sendable.com/COVID-19. I'm Park Howell, and I am so glad you're here with us today. You know, since we all stepped into this bizarro world with the coronavirus, we've been producing 2 shows per week with thought leaders around the globe asking what they are doing, personally and professionally, to get through it all in hopes of helping you get some advice on maybe how you can weather this crazy storm at the same time. What has impressed me most with all of them is their optimism for what you can do right now while preparing you, your business, and or your career to be even more robust as we emerge out of the pandemic. On today's show, a couple of my pals are joining us to share their perspectives on these whack-a-mole times. Pete Walsh is a master coach challenging leaders to create stronger and more accountable business teams. Pete is a specialist in coaching family businesses and is the founder of the Family Business Performance Center. He's here to share what he's seeing as businesses of all shapes and sizes are trying to retain their sense of family culture while taking care of their own at home. The second part of our show features a public relations legend here in Phoenix. His name's Ray Artigue of Artigue Advisors. Ray was one of the very first communication professionals I met when I moved to Phoenix in 1985, and he's impressed me ever since. He's one of the really great people in the business. Ray was Senior Vice President of Marketing Communications for the Phoenix Suns for 15 years. Working alongside Suns owner Jerry Colangelo, Ray and his team launched the Arizona Diamondbacks baseball team and Phoenix's new baseball stadium known as Bank One Ballpark, or Bob at the time. He's managed media relations for the Phoenix Open for years, and he is with us today to talk about crisis communications with your business and the crisis communications that may be going on between your ears. But before we start, I'm excited, proud, and even somewhat exhausted to announce that my new book is arriving June 1st. That's right, Brand Bewitchery. 6 years in the conjuring is actually materializing in a couple of weeks. You can pre-order your copy of Brand Bewitchery right now at businessofstory.com/ you guessed it, Brand Bewitchery. Plus, you can take advantage of 3 bonuses with your pre-order. Everything I've learned in my 35 years of branding and advertising is revealed in my book. From it, you will develop 2 crucial outcomes or skills that have grown organizations by as much as 600%. First, you'll craft a crystal clear brand story using the powerful story cycle system that will hack through the noise and hook the hearts of your customers to grow your business and your people. Plus, as you dial in your brand story, you will learn 3 proven storytelling techniques so you know how to tell it. In doing so, you'll captivate your customers, build repeat business, and grow your word-of-mouth marketing, the most powerful form of advertising there is. And the best part, word-of-mouth marketing is free. So you get to reduce your costly marketing budget when you become that much more powerful of a storyteller. I've even included our foolproof story activation plan that will guide you step by step on how to launch your new brand story when the time is right. So please pre-order your copy of Brand Bewitchery at businessofstory.com/Brand Bewitchery. Now, please welcome a guy who was instrumental in coaching me as I ran my agency Park & Co. and who coaxed me through the crafting of my new book, my good buddy, Pete Walsh of the Family Business Performance Center.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me be here.
Well, you and I talk almost every day, so we stay in close touch, and our wives are good friends, just so our listeners know. And our 2 boys went to film school together, and they're both working over in Hollywood. So, we have a very close bond in our families. And you have always offered great insight through your work of business coaching, especially for family businesses through your Family Business Performance Center. And you know that we've been going through some things with our family and COVID and all the nastiness that brings when a loved one gets ill. So I want to thank you in advance for being there for us and just kind of, bringing that calm voice to these chaotic waters that we all find ourselves in right now.
Well, thanks for allowing me to bring the voice. And we've been thinking about you and your family. And, leadership is important as ever. And just, all of us kind of sticking together and our collective mindset so important right now. Yeah.
Now, you and Karen are at home, out in your place, out in the northwest of Phoenix, like we all are now in Arizona, relegated to our homes. What are you doing that is keeping you on top of your game and, performing every day at the highest levels, even while everything else seems to be coming down around us?
I know we didn't rehearse this, and it's really going to sound like a shameless plug, but I've been working on my brand story and taking your online course for my story, for my brand. So, one of the things I'm doing now is, just taking a look at what we're doing and what we're going to continue to do in the future. I'm fortunate that my business is still very strong and doing well, but at the same time, I think it's a time to, be reflective. And actually, one of my clients inspired me a little bit. And he said right now he's thinking about how do we take more market share? And so even when a lot of people are kind of stuck and, in timeout or kind of in panic mode, some people are thinking about what are the opportunities right now. So that's one of the things that I'm working on is just saying, what are the opportunities for me and my business going forward? And how can I take more market share either in this moment or when things start to heat up again?
And it's a delicate balance, isn't it, in our brains? On one hand, we have that compassion side, and we understand how devastating this is to, our families and our friends, and just being locked away like we all are. You and I have never seen anything like this in our nearly 60 years on the planet. So we have to have that compassion side. But on the other side of that, too, the other side of that coin is we have to keep growing our businesses. We got to stay in business. We got to be out there helping people. How do you find that balance? So on one hand, yes, looking at opportunity and growing market share, but on the other hand, still finding that compassion and that sensitivity for what in the world we're all going through right now.
Well, I think another thing that you and I have in common is all of our work really is about serving clients and helping clients serve their mission. So even when I say growing market share, and it seems a bit utilitarian, it really is about how can I better serve my clients? How can I help them not only in this current crisis, but in what's going to be like when they come out of it. So again, my work's always about leadership and helping them be the best leader they can be in the midst of this. But I know you and our work is usually about helping people advance their businesses and their causes. So, that's what I do. I try to stop and think, what am I missing? How can I better serve my audience right now? And again, for a lot of folks, that's really trying to help them find their best leadership tone, being the kind of leader that has a steady hand to help the organization get through this crisis. So I think if your heart's in the right place, another thing you and I have in common, I think if your heart's in the right place, you're going to be of service in the right way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and thank you, by the way, for that shameless plug earlier. And by the way, folks, we did not rehearse that, but I am glad you're using the online course, Pete. But have you found this time? Yep.
It's been really helpful, by the way. I just wanted to say it's been really helpful. And you and I have been honing my thing for a while. And again, but It's like this idea of keep polishing the stone, keep working on your masterpiece. So even when you think it's pretty good, you want to keep working on it, keep refining it. And that's part of what I love about your work as well.
Oh, thanks. And I was going to ask you, because that process is rather introspective. It does require you to be thinking about your brand story, but not only from an organizational standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. Have you found this time, regardless of the online program, have you found this time to make you more introspective of what you're doing and what you're trying to do in the future?
Yeah, I think so. And one of the things I'm hearing from clients is that this is like some version of a timeout, but the slowing down just a little bit sometimes gives you a chance to even be more reflective or have better reflection. I've been commuting less, so I have more time in that regard. And I have some busy architects, construction firms that are feeling like this is allowing them to do their work maybe at a little bit of a better pace or a different pace. So I think one of the opportunities right now is for everybody, there's a natural desire to kind of be uptight or to kind of fight what's happening. But I think another thing to do is just to kind of try to accept the slowing down, going with the flow a little bit, finding a chance to, if you can, even enjoy this new pace. And so, yeah, I think it kind of forces you to do that. But if you can embrace it rather than fight it, it can be a good thing.
I had creative director Luis that I do a lot of work with the other day, and he was standing by my door, and he looked at me and he goes, "Doesn't it just feel like time is standing still? It's like totally stops." And, I think we all feel that. And it's such a rude awakening when we are all running so fast and furious. And, one of the best markets we ever had leading up to this, and then to have it just fall off the map. It is such a rude awakening. It's going to take a little bit of time to accept that, embrace it, and get a feel for this new pace.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for growth. And one of the things in your family more than ever right now is like, hey, look, and if I'm not at the ER, if somebody I know isn't at the ER, I should really be celebrating my health every day and trying to make good decisions about that as well. But, I've been really focused on all the things that I have to be grateful for. And I think that's an important thing for people to be doing right now.
Yeah. What has been the biggest opportunity that you have seen that has come out of this for you personally? Not so much for your brand or your business or market share, but for you personally.
As crazy as this sounds, is cleaning up, a little bit of spring cleaning, a little bit of we cleaned the garage the other day, we're cleaning the office, we're going to work on that this weekend. I think it gives you a chance maybe to declutter, to again get to some of the things that you don't normally get to, which are going to have you freed up and ready to go when things come back again, which I think they're going to. So for me, I'd say it's a little bit of spring cleaning on, several different fronts.
Yeah. The social distancing is tough. It was so fun to have you and Karen do a drive-by at our house on Sunday, and you came in and we sat out in the front yard for about 15 minutes, and we were effectively 10 feet apart, had a beer, and then off you guys went again. And, I really enjoyed just that contact because we hadn't seen you in several weeks, but it also just seemed like we were in a dystopian movie thriller, didn't it? I mean,
it did. It did. But, it's another point that you bring up. I mean, I'm having clients that are doing video meetings that haven't typically done them. I'm seeing families that are having video meetings, your family being one of those. And so in a way, people are starting to connect in different ways. Mm-hmm. And I think they're starting to embrace innovation, like finding other ways to communicate and connect. So, you know that I study Buddhism as a mindset, not a religion, but you believe that everything happens for a reason and it happens when it's supposed to happen. And so that's another thing to do, is to have everybody stop and think, what is the lesson in this for me right now?
Yeah. Yeah. As a coach, now let's go over to the Family Business Performance Center side of your coaching. And as it sounds, you do so much great work with family businesses all around the country. I was curious, are there 2 or 3 things that you're hearing in common with your clients that you kind of feel like there's a trend going on there, on 2 sides of the coin? On one side, on the oh shit side of the coin, like, oh my God, Pete, I don't know how we're going to work out of this. And then on the other side, the opportunistic side of it, are you because you're such a collector of information in that area, what are the trends you're seeing and hearing?
Well, I think one of the things that leaders need to do is to keep their teams focused. And another thing that you and I have in common is this idea about deliberate practice. So keep doing the things that you were doing, even when your teams were in the same building. Try to do as much of that as you can, even though you're remote. So if those are Zoom meetings, other things, keep sticking to a routine. That's one of the things that I think is really important. One of the other things that actually has surprised me is how many of my clients, even with very successful businesses, are really taking the time to explore the financial options that are out there, for whether it be some loans they have, whether it be to take advantage of the government support of keeping their payroll together. So I see clients running on a couple of tracks. One track is keeping people focused and productive and making the most of the business they have. But then they're deploying a lot of time and resources to exploring and considering taking up some of the support that's available. And one of my clients said to me, like in the recession, they were very slow to do that. They were reluctant to do it. And so he said that, this time we're going to start checking all that out. We're going to start doing our paperwork. I'm not even sure to what extent we're going to take action on that. But I think that a lot of clients are really trying to be proactive and exploring some of those options they have for some medium and long-term support.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I've been looking into that myself here. I didn't do it the first time around, in the global recession back in 2008 and all the fun we had there. This is a bit more of a dramatic downturn considering the global nature of it and the health impact of it. But I've been doing the same thing into that. So, well, we're coming up on the weekend here. What are you and Karen doing differently this weekend to stay safe and sane out there?
Well, another thing that we enjoy is cards. So we're getting Karen into cribbage for the first time in years. So that's really great. That's going to be good for us in the long run, you and me and all of us. And, just trying to entertain ourselves a little bit. I mean, the other thing I saw today, which I thought made a lot of sense, trying to limit our intake of news and limit the amount of time we're spending actually talking about this crisis. So we want to be informed. We want to continue to make good decisions, but we can't allow it to consume every waking minute. So that's another deliberate practice we have about watching just a certain little amount of news every day and then trying to enjoy the time we have together. Because again, I think one of the things that's so frightening about this particular situation is that people get sick, they get hauled off, they're not even with their family. So I think we'll really enjoy being together all weekend, and that's an important thing for people to be doing. Yeah.
Well, great thoughts all the way across the board, Pete. I appreciate you being here. Any last thoughts for our listeners? That last little chunk of wisdom that just popped up in your head?
Keep getting educated. I mean, I again listened to a few different podcasts this week. Always enjoy yours. It's just a really good time to keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding your brain and coming up with new ideas. So when this passes, we're going to be just that much more effective and fulfilled in what we're doing.
Uh, Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you being here. Pete Walsh, everyone, Family Business Performance Center. You don't have to be a family business to take advantage of his coaching. And I've known this guy a long time now. He coaches from the heart. He's very generous with his time and his wisdom. And he is happy to tell you that you've got a right turn coming, even when it's 33 miles down the road.
I really wonder how you're getting anywhere without me as your co-pilot telling you what to do. Hey, thanks for letting me join you and your audience today. And I love you like a brother.
Me too, buddy. Be happy and healthy out there.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Now, you see what I mean? Pete's just a great guy, and he's always out there to help everybody around him. Now, you want to have some fun and gain some insights on how to make your content marketing sing? Well, then by all means, join the new Social Media Storytellers Facebook group. It's private, but everyone's welcome. It's the brainchild of Sendable, and I'm honored to be one of the thought leaders in the group. By the way, their words, not mine. And we would love to have you there. The Social Media Storytellers Facebook group is just another way Sendable goes out of its way to help you connect with your customers, whether you're a customer of theirs or not. Gavin Hammer and his crew have ratcheted up their helping during these bizarro world times, and now you can try them for free by registering at sendable.com/COVID-19 now until July 1st, 2020. What do you have to lose besides the cost of your current subscription with your current provider? You'll be joining thousands of digital agencies from around the world who rely on Sendable for all of their social media planning, publishing, tracking, and measurement. It's who we use at the Business of Story, and my social media manager, Marissa Hill, couldn't be happier. And believe me, it pays to keep Marissa happy. Sendable makes it super easy to source content from clients and collaborate closely with them to create a social media strategy built on proven storytelling principles. You can reliably plan and schedule content to be automatically published to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or your channel of choice. Plus, and here's the great part, you get to demonstrate how good you are by showing your clients the impact your content is actually having on their audiences to create growth and to convert customers through their really, really easy in-depth reporting and analytics. And one of the coolest tools is the Smart Posts. With Smart Posts, you can simply craft social media content and in one step, customize it for each platform. This ups your chances to drive engagement and convert even more customers. So try Sendable now. And if you have the wherewithal, join their traction plan with your special Business of Story 30% discount at sendable.com/park30. That way you'll be supporting Gavin and his team as they work hard to support those who are truly in need. Sendable, it's social storytelling made super simple. Now, please welcome to the show my friend and a communications pro who I admire immensely, Ray Artigue. Ray, welcome to the Business of Story.
Well, it's good to be here, avid reader and an eager participant this time around.
Too bad we have to do this in such down times in so many ways, and yet it does provide us some opportunities to do some other things with our lives and our businesses. So that's what we're doing in this series on the Business of Story, of talking with thought leaders like yourself, learning about what are you doing to get through it, and how, what are you coaching your clients and customers to do to get through this. Now, I wanted to start, number one, is thank you again for putting together that virtual luncheon we had the other day to create some fellowship among some local professionals here in Arizona. I know you've been doing that for a while, and we couldn't get together in person, so it was actually really fun to do that on that Zoom session.
Yeah, I thought so, and I think we all got something out of it. Certainly felt supported as business people, consultants, particularly in this time of hibernation. At least that's what it feels like, though we're not asleep, and nor do we want to be. And that was part of our discussion, as you know, just how we can deal with this incredibly upside down world that we're living in right now, and taking care of ourselves and our immediate families, how to take care of our clients, and respond to them in an appropriate way so that we're being both responsible and helpful. So I agree. It was a good session.
And in this day and age of social distancing, I saw where someone the other day reframed it as distance socialing. And that's kind of what we were doing. Instead of totally bailing on the lunch, we just did it online. And it seemed like everyone really enjoyed the gathering.
For sure. Iron sharpens iron, pull a verse out of the Bible. And I think we had some of that going on as well. The sharing of ideas. Yes, certainly I benefited from several that were shared, but also just the, kind of the emotional and mental support and uplifting as we realize that, we're not unique. We're all in this together and we're facing many of the same things as small business owners. And I think whether we're small business owners or CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, it's true that as human beings, we're facing many of the same things. Size and scope is different, and yet I think on a relative basis, many of the same issues that we face relative to communicating both with internal stakeholders, but also, our external audiences, and becomes even more important as we're all working and relating to one another from a distance.
Absolutely. Now, you have had a long and illustrious career in communications here in metropolitan Phoenix, working with Jerry Colangelo and the Suns and launching the Diamondbacks when they came to town. And you created and delivered a sports marketing course at ASU for many years, and you've been a fixture at the Phoenix Open working. So you have been around a lot of highs and lows in the world. I mean, you and I, we go back from the SNL crisis in the early 90s that we had to fight our agencies through and make sure that worked. We had Y2K, the dot-com bubble, we had 9/11, the global recession, and now we have the mother of all disasters is COVID-19. Is there anything that you see that trends throughout all of those in good crisis communications?
First of all, as you alliterate all those episodes,
Gosh.
my heart rate, I think, increased a little bit. It's funny, but I think also helpful as I hear you go down that list to remember, some of the crises and the difficult times that we lived through. It's helpful from the aspect of knowing that this too shall pass, and we'll find ourselves on the other side at some point. But to answer your question, I think what's common to living through and working through all of those occurrences is just how unsettling they all were, how unsettling things are today, and how much it puts a premium on the importance of communicating with one another, relating to one another, sharing, and I guess you could say circling the wagons so that you're not out there alone trying to, through it. And again, it can relate both to our, our mental and emotional condition, but as business people, also just, being able to better understand what to do, learning from one another, sharing best practices. I think where we can get into trouble and make matters worse is when we turn inward and stop, communicating and connecting with people during these crises.
And so it seems like, and you just had a great article that I was reading in preparation for this in the paper. When you talk about crisis communications, to me, so often it seems like it's just really common sense in a lot of ways. Be there, be timely, be accurate, be authentic, be humble, make sure that everybody is on board and they have an idea of where you're going, deliver the good news with the bad news, but be, truthful in all of that. And yet it seems like so often companies large and small just blow up when it comes down to crisis communications. Why is that?
Well, I think they panic. And we all know that when you're in a panic mode, you're not going to be thinking clearly. A lot of research around that. And so we make rash decisions, often, regretting them later. But without a plan, without advanced kind of preparation, in the PR world, we call it crisis communications planning or crisis management programming. Not that that's going to, solve every ill. And yet, when it has to do with communicating with our employees and our vendors, suppliers, for a nonprofit organization, our volunteers, for-profit and public company, our board of directors, there's just so many different stakeholders. And so you mentioned authenticity. It's about being real, and it's about communicating real time and doing it clearly, concisely, and honestly. As simple and old-fashioned as that sounds, that can really be the difference, getting your business through the turbulent waters and finding yourself on the safe shore on the other side.
Yeah, so you have been handling a lot of the media relations for the PGA's Phoenix Open for many, many, many years. Do you have any insights? Have you heard anything about what's going to happen with the tour this year? Say this thing starts blowing over and people can come back out for fresh air in June or July. What do you think they're going to do?
Well, I think whether it's the PGA Tour or the NBA playoffs, should we have those, the start of the NFL season, and then, of course, college sport, I think we'll see just a lot of new policies and procedures that are new and meant to keep us safe, the athletes certainly from one another, but also the fans, so that you're willing to come out to a golf course and spectate a PGA Tour event, or particularly if you're going to an arena or a stadium where spectating and sitting close to one another. And again, that's the public or consumer safety aspect of it. But I think too, from a marketing standpoint, there's likely to be many new approaches going forward. It's hard to predict what all there will be.
And the Phoenix Open, you guys had your largest spectator turnout ever this past year. Earlier in February, the weather was absolutely picture perfect. You had hundreds of thousands of people out there. I imagine that they've got to really look at now, will that event still remain that size? Or they're going to have to probably do some planning on how to maybe do more crowd control, potentially.
That's true. I've not been a part of those discussions yet, but I believe that will get discussed, and who knows what, the outcome will be. We're already hearing, of course, where some of the professional sports may be played in empty arenas or stadiums, which, is crazy in some ways, because athletes at all levels thrive off of, the so-called home court advantage and from the support of their fans, but safety first. And so, yes, it could be that, the world's largest golf tournament, and certainly the largest sporting event in Arizona, could be played or held, with far smaller galleries, and who knows, perhaps a postponement of the kinds of hospitality tents and villages that we've had in the past.
Well, it's just a weird, wacky, upside-down world we live in right now. So, Ray, what are you doing day in and day out now, working, from home, not able to get out nearly as much as you did before or at all before? How are you staying focused and motivated and moving forward?
Well, I'm doing a lot of reading. There's the time to do it, and there's an awful lot online to be able to digest, learning about what others are doing, and that's not only helpful, but it also, I think, just is keeping me clear-minded and alert. But also with the clients that I'm consulting from a distance, helping them, work through some of their issues and consulting, from a distance. A lot of it is on the having to do with crisis communication, but some of it is on the positive or proactive side of things relative to how to keep their products and services, relevant and in front of their existing clients, and ultimately, how to position themselves for presenting themselves to new clients, prospects here as we get on the other side of this epidemic. So digesting as much as I can in terms of the information that's out there, also trying to write, message out white papers and things that, may be of help to others that I'm consulting.
And what are you doing for fun with you and Martha and the family to keep spirits up?
Well, we never done this before, but we're playing board games virtually, and even my daughter and her husband from Long Beach can participate, obviously.
What games are you playing? Might
Oh,
have to try that myself.
the one that they like and we've been playing a lot is Linky.
Linky?
Yeah, it's one of those trivia games where you share clues in these different subject categories, and somebody tries to guess the answer, and on the back of each card is a letter, and so if you guess the right answer, you get that card or that letter, and ultimately you're able to fill out the word link. And so it's just another variation of a Trivial Pursuit. That's been fun. And then you'll likely not find one weed in any of my gardens or shrub books. Not particularly something that I relish. You got to get outdoors and also do other things to stay busy. And for great weather, we're able to do that.
Yeah, that's the hell of it, isn't it? We have such beautiful weather here right now, and we're stuck indoors for the most part. I mean, it's still good to get out. I've been on the trails around here, but they are so overrun with people that now I stopped going there just because I don't really feel safe. So, but what are you going to do, right?
That's right.
Well, Ray, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time coming in and learning more. Where can people find you online if they've got any questions about crisis communications, or maybe, could use your guidance a little bit?
Well, my website is just simply Ray Artigue, ARTIGUE.com. Some of the things that I've written can be found there, and I also share what others have developed as far as useful content, best practices, and be happy to hear from anybody by email relative to questions and problems, issues, and share out loud with those that might have a particular interest in public relations and specifically issues management and crisis communications.
Excellent. Well, Ray, thanks so much. I hope you go out and I hope you stay in and have a joyous weekend this weekend, and I'll catch you next week at some point, I'm sure.
Thanks, Park, and just really enjoy the business of story and look forward to more of it down the road.
Well, I appreciate that. All right, man. Be happy and healthy out there.
You too.
Well, there you have it. Two great guys that are helping a world of people out there. I want to thank you for listening to this special edition of The Business of Story. If you like what you heard and think others in your circle would benefit from the wit and wisdom of Pete and Ray, then by all means, please share this episode with them. And if you'd like to put the brand storytelling principles to work for you, the same ones that I've used to grow organizations by as much as 600% while creating truly compelling and confident communicators, then by all means, please pre-order my new book, Brand Bewitchery: How to Wield the Story Cycle System to Craft Spellbinding Stories for Your Brand. You can get it at businessofstory.com/brand bewitchery. And of course, take advantage of the 3 bonuses available to you right now with your pre-order before the end of May. And finally, check out Sendable. If you want to be sharing your stories online, hit sendable.com/park30. Believe me, it'll rock your world. So thanks so much for listening. Be back here next week when we will have some more story artists for you to help you figure out how to navigate this bizarro, wacko world we're living in, to grow as a storyteller, and to really position yourself and your brand for phenomenal growth as we get through this pandemic. And until then, especially now, remember that the most potent story you will ever tell is the story you tell yourself. So make it a great one. Thanks so much for listening.